give it up and welcome to the stage, Suzi Ruffell. Come on, let's hear it.
I went down to my local gym a couple of weeks ago and the pool was closed. And the reason that the pool was closed was because there was an aqua aerobics class on. Now, I don't know if anyone here has ever seen aqua aerobics, but what it is it's old lady slow motion dancing immersed in water. And they decided to couple this with hard house dance music. So the music they put on was something like and just old ladies doing this. And the woman that was leading the class was quite angry. It was like she was too angry to do the children's swimming lessons, but not angry enough to do spinning. She was somewhere in between, and she started laying into this little old woman. She was going, Betty, if you don't work harder, you will never make it into intermediate. And I looked at Betty, and Betty looked about 104. I thought, Betty will be lucky if she makes it home. It was like a rave scene from Cocoon. It was incredible. But I'm not from Leicester, I'm from Portsmouth originally. Give me a cheer if you've been to Portsmouth. It's a shithole, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, it is, you're right. No, I grew up in Portsmouth. I went to the roughest school in the roughest area of Portsmouth. There was a girl in my school that did not like me at all. She would say things like, Suzi Ruffell, yeah, Suzi Ruffell. Don't talk to her, yeah, because she reckons she's much better than everybody else. And she had a point, because I did think that I was much better, And then other times she'd say things like, don't talk to Suzi Ruffell, yeah, because she's blatantly a lemon. And at my school, a lemon meant a lesbian. So again, she had a point. And then other times she'd say things like, if you're getting changed after swimming, yeah, don't stand too close to Suzi Ruffell, because she will blatantly be looking at you. And again, she had a point. I'm starting to think she was less of a bully and more of an acute social commentator. I think she knew before me. That's what I'm saying. I'm single at the moment. Have you got any singletons in? Yeah. One woman just crying on her own. Yes, me. I'm pleased that 2011 is done. I had my big breakup, my first big breakup in 2011, and it was horrible. Has anyone here ever cried so much that they're no longer aware what's tears and what's snot? So I haven't did, because that's where I was. I was such a mess that I decided that all I needed was my mum and dad to give me a cuddle and tell me that everything was going to be okay. So I got the train home, I cried the whole way. When I finally got there, my dad was waiting in his car for me, and he just looked at me, his little girl, the baby of the family, and said, "Oh, don't she love you no more?" Which I thought was a bit harsh. I then went into the kitchen, my mum turned around and went, "Ah, it's probably because you're so selfish." Which was definitely worse. So mum and dad were no use whatsoever. So I went out with my best mates. They took me out for dinner. They were like, "Come on, you've got to get over this." They bought me 2 books to help me get over the breakup. The first book was Cooking for One. The second book was an American self-help book. My best mate is massively into self-help. And she bought me this book, and the book was called, It's Called a Breakup Because It's Broken. It's called a breakup because it's broken. I gave her a book back. It was called Your Nose is Bleeding Because It's Broken. We're not friends anymore, but she gave me this book, and the book was so American that I started seeing everything that happened in the last 3 years of this relationship in a really American way. I started being like, I don't need anyone to validate me. I don't need anyone to validate this. I am going to be me. I am going to date me. I'm going to take myself to the movies and take myself to dinner. I'm going to learn to love me, learn to take this, learn to love me, learn to take this. And do you know what I found out? I'm a massive knob. That was it. I had to go home recently, actually. After the breakup, I had to go home again because my dad rang me up and he said, Suze, you've got to come home because your nan's had an awful fall. You've got to come home as quickly as possible. And I thought the worst. I expected the worst. Got into my car. I went down to Portsmouth as quickly as I could. When I got there, my nan was in the hospital and she looked terrible. She looked absolutely awful. And as I walked in, she opened up her eyes and she recognised me. And then she beckoned me towards her. And I thought my nan's about to impart some sort of wisdom on me. She is about to tell me what 80 years on this earth has taught her. And she took off her air mask and she said, "See that woman over there? See how she's got a really long neck? The whole of her family are like that." And then she popped her mask back on. I thought, if you're well enough to have a bitch, you are well enough to go home. That should be The rule, she'd got to that age in life, she was in her 80s, all she had left, all she really enjoyed was bitching about other people. That was all she loved, not long before she died. Me and all my cousins were around her bed, and she was in and out of consciousness, and none of us really knew what to do, but my cousin Holly had the best idea. She just leant in and went, Nan, Nan, guess who's got fat? Boom. She stayed with us for another 2 weeks. It's incredible. Her last words were quite special. She looked my dad square in the eyes and said, "Tell that nurse she needs a bra."